Hi there, my name's Eleanor and I've been watching BookTube for quite a long time now and probably spoken to quite a lot of you other booktubers via comments and Twitter, but I decided that maybe I'd take the plunge and try and do some videos of my own. I didn't realise quite how nerve-wracking it is sitting in front of a camera. You do feel a bit silly. But I'm really keen to sort of share with you guys a bit more and just interact with everyone a little bit more and show people what I'm reading and get involved in the community a bit more. So here I am taking the plunge. I thought I'd start by just telling you a little bit about what I'll do on my channel. I've got quite a hectic life with a 2-year-old, so fitting in reading is hard enough in itself, but also to fit in doing BookTube videos all the time was going to be quite difficult, so I'm planning on aiming for once a week and just to see how that goes. I'm going to do sort of hauls or books that I've borrowed from the library, because at the moment there's a lot of library books that I'm borrowing, trying to support my local library, and it's amazing how many books you can get. I didn't realise, you know, you always think, oh, libraries, everything's going to be a little bit old and none of the new stuff, but actually they've got some really good books, and a lot of the books that I go, oh, I must get that every time I watch someone on BookTube, they've got in the library, so it's been great and I've really been enjoying using it. So just going to talk about the books that I've got that week, or books that I've borrowed that week, the books that I've read that week, and then what I'm going to try and read next week. And just really sort of try and get a bit more involved and just see how it goes from there. So this channel is called E-Reads Books, because my name's Eleanor. And yeah, so I thought the first thing I'd do was to show you the books that I've got at the moment from the library and what I plan to read next. So starting off is Tomorrow When the War Begins by John Marsden. Now I heard about this from quite a few booktubers recently, and it just sounds really great. A bit of a YA book about a group of children that go camping, and while they're camping a war begins. I think it's the start of a series, so and I believe it's an Australian writer, so I'm interested to sort of jump into this and just see if I enjoy it, and if I do, no doubt I'll be borrowing all of the books. I did, when I was looking at the book, see that I think there might be possibly a film as well, so maybe a bit of a film tie-in that I can watch after I've read the book. We'll see. There's a film coming out soon called Horns, and this is Joe Hill's Horns. It's essentially about a boy who's in a privileged lifestyle. I think his dad's a TV or film director, and one night his girlfriend is raped and murdered, and it's a little bit of a fantastical element to it, and I think Joe Hill, a little bit more horror, but all of a sudden this guy Ig, who's the main protagonist, possesses horns and can start hearing everyone's deepest, darkest secrets, and wants to try and find out what's happened to his girlfriend, so goes on a bit of a quest. It's a bit interesting to read this because I'd like to see this before the film comes out. I believe it's Daniel Radcliffe in the film, so yeah, I'm interested to see that. Loads of people I've seen recently talking about Perfume as a book that you must read. This is Perfume by Patrick Susskind. Set in the 18th century in France, about a perfumery, goodness, what a hard word, perfumerer, who is using fragrances and scents to kill off people. He's a serial killer. So, be interested to read that one. Next is I belong to a book club, and the local Waterstones to me does a book club once a month, and I belong to that, so that's my real life book club, which is quite good. And this month we're reading The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling, so I'm quite excited to dig into this. I like a bit of crime every now and again. I do find them quite fast paced and fun, so I'm excited about reading that one. I also belong to Goodreads group BookTube Reading Buddies, which is really excellent, and I love it, and I've met you know, made lots of friends on there, and also sort of communicated, especially there's quite a lot of booktubers that are on there as well. So I've really enjoyed that. And I am currently working my way through the whole of the Game of Thrones, so I am now on my 3rd month, and so therefore 3rd book, so A Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin. This is part 1 we're going to do this month, and then move on to part 2 next month, so I'm really enjoying that. And this is a must read this month for me. I picked up from the library while I could get it, The Deaths by Mark Lawson. This is for next month's Waterstones book club, but I like to get them as and when I can. It's about 4 families, quite well off I think, in the English countryside, and just about how a horrific act changes their lives and how that affects them, so I'll be interested to see that. No one will see this one as a surprise. Everyone loves a bit of Rainbow Rowell, and personally I've read Fangirl, which I've really enjoyed. I haven't yet read Eleanor Park, but I have got it on my Kindle to read, and her new one, Landline, I just got from the library because I've heard quite a lot of people talk about it, so I thought while it was there I'll pick it up and give it a go. This one I believe is more of an adult themed book, just because it's about a married couple sort of later on in life, and I think using a magical phone she talks to her husband in the past, and it delves into their relationship and issues and their lives. So in typical Rainbow Rowell fashion, I am sure this is going to be heart-wrenching and emotional and interesting, so I'm looking forward to reading that. Next I have got Broken Monsters by Lauren Bukes, who wrote The Shining Girls, which I really enjoyed. It was a bit different, a bit mystical, about a serial killer, and different. It was set in different times, and there was a bit of sort of time travel involved. I heard someone recently talking about this one. I don't know much about it, so I'm just going to have a look in the flap. So it's basically about it's a crime about a serial killer, a failed artist who turns his deepest, darkest fantasies into reality. So that'll be another fast-paced crime. Next is Among Others by Jo Walton. I think this is a bit about black magic, a bit fantastical. It says here it won the Hugo Award and Nebula Award, so it's going to be a little bit sort of sci-fi fantasy, but also I think it's meant to be quite a literary novel, so interested in reading that. Born at Midnight. As you can see from all these books, I've got quite eclectic taste. I don't really ever say no to reading anything. Not really into sort of Mills and Boon heavy romance, and I love contemporaries, but only every now and again. I just finished Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover, which I loved, and I listened to with the soundtrack music that you could download from iTunes, which was just phenomenal. Really enjoyed that, but I wouldn't then go on to read another contemporary. I tend to use them a bit more as a palate cleanser, because although I do find them really interesting and really moving and emotional reads, they tend to have quite a formulaic plot, so I don't really read them, you know, one after the other. And that's probably the same with a lot of different genres, especially sort of crime novels as well. I tend to try and chop and change, but I never really sort of say no to reading anything. I'll give anything a go. I read a lot of graphic novels and comics and anime. Yeah, so anything goes. So this one is Born at Midnight, which I believe is a paranormal book about a girl who gets sent to a camp which involves training up werewolves and vampires and all sorts of mystical things like that, so I'd be interested to see how that goes. Next is Acid by Emma Pass, and this is about, well, I don't really know much about this. It says here, Acid, the most brutal police force in history. They rule with an iron fist. They see everything, they know everything, they locked me away for life. My crime, they say I murdered my parents. I was 15 years old. My name is Jenna Strong. So I think this is probably going to be a bit more of a paranormal as well, a bit dystopian. So I'll be excited to see where that goes. Then I've got Poison Princess by Cressley Cole, which is the start of a paranormal romance, I suppose, maybe. I don't know if it's a trilogy or whether it is a series. But this is all about sort of tarot cards, and the people on tarot cards are real. You know, you've got the Huntress, you've got the Hangman, etc. So I've heard a few things from BookTube on this, so I thought I'd pick it up. These are all library books. It's amazing. You can just get anything from the library. I love it. Seraphina by Rachel Hartman. A couple of BookTubers I've mentioned this numerous times in tags and just kept telling everyone that they had to read it, so I'm going to read it. And as you can see, it's dragons, so it should be interesting. I'm excited to read that. And then finally, Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. I have got some other books by him, but this one looked like a good sort of entry. I haven't read any of his stories yet. Bit of an entry into this type of world, so I'm going to give it a go. I think it's to do with people who have superpowers, I believe. So it looks like quite an easy read. It's quite big writing, so fingers crossed. I'm looking forward to that one. And that's all the books that I've got from the library at the moment. I think probably, I don't know what I'm going to read next. I've just finished a book, well, maybe someday last night, so I haven't really picked up another one yet. So I'll see what sort of takes my fancy, really. Who knows? Maybe you could comment and let me know which one to read next. I think I'm probably leaning towards Tomorrow When the War Begins, just because I quite fancy that, and it's been sitting there for the longest. But I don't know, I'm just going to see how it goes. So I'll hopefully upload this today, which is Sunday in the UK. I live in the UK, and I'm hoping to upload every Sunday because that's a good day for me. It means I've got a bit of time. My husband takes my daughter swimming, so I get a little bit more time just to read and relax and do my own thing. So as I said, I'm going to try and do weekly sort of synopses and reviews, and yeah, book related things. What part of the reason why I started this is because I find that I'm reading a lot of books now that I'm watching BookTube, but often I'm not really sitting back afterwards and thinking about the books and thinking about what I've enjoyed and reviewing, and you know, I go onto Goodreads and I put down how many stars, but I don't tend to write any reviews, and I just want to sort of start thinking about my books a little bit more and not just racing through them to try and get to the next book, because it's so exciting watching all the BookTube videos and watching everybody and what they're hauling and what they're reading, that you want to read all of them from every channel, and I'm not really taking the time to you know, think more critically about the books. So yeah, fingers crossed that I managed to read a few books this week, and that next week I can talk to you a little bit more about what I've read and what I've enjoyed. And yeah, so bye for now, and thanks for watching this, and hopefully speak to you in the comments. Bye.